I will reach for my audio cassette player and connect it to the computer, cue the tape to the point that my filofax said, and then press play at the same time as I'm pressing enter for the thing to start reading. If I cued it a bit too early, the computer, after observing nothing coming, it will just assume that nothing is coming and it will just abandon that process. If I cued it too close, I could have missed 1 or 2 bits and the program will not work. So these are the things that I used to do as an operating system for my computer. And I did this over and over again for about 1 year when I became rich enough to upgrade and bought a new computer. In fact, I remember the first time a friend of mine asked me what operating system, because when I bought a new computer, it had an operating system. I think it was called CPM. That operating system was called CPM, Control Program for Microprocessors. And I was having problem understanding CPM. A friend of mine said, what operating system were you using before? I didn't know what an operating system was. I didn't know that I was the operating system. So that is how much today, when you use a computer, you take a lot of things for granted. And that is how much we also, on which we run. And it is that inability to see those details that make us sometimes laissez-faire, sometimes not having the correct attitude towards how we are supposed to operate to fulfill purpose. Every life needs an operating system. I've used the computer illustration because, like I said, the computer is as systemic as it can get, and it is very common, so we can relate to it. And that's why you were laughing when I was saying certain things, because you do this thing, you have the understanding, you have the experience. When I said my computer had 1 kilobyte of memory, but I mean, there was a time that 1 kilobyte was a lot of memory. Maybe you didn't know that when we were going from 1999 to year 2000, there was an effort to recover all the computer programs ever written in the world and correct them, because owing to limited memory, dates were written in only 2 digits. So 1999 would have been just 99. 1964 would have just been 64. 1923 would have just been 23. So as we were now going towards year 2000, we had year 99. So the next year is going to be year 00. So somebody that took a loan in 1998 and is supposed to finish the loan in 2004. If you now record the date as 04, it means he had finished paying the debt in 1904. So that was as serious as memory in computers were. It was referred to as the millennium bug. And there was pandemonium all over the world, struggling, trying to ensure that we do not fall foul of the millennium bug. The millennium bug was a problem that just came from limited memory. So now that you have your pocket 128 gigs of RAM, understand how much luxury you are dealing with. So, as a human being, therefore, another complex systemic contrivance that God has put together, you need an operating system. The operating system of a person consists of sets of subconscious structures subconscious beliefs, routines that affect how we think, how we feel, how we act, and how we interact with one another. All these are defined, and they are not to be just random. There are ways by which we conduct these processes to get results. Please, how much more time do I have? Oh. So, the way we think, the way we feel, the way we act, the way we interact with others, they are necessarily defined by an operating system, because they are not meant to be random. If you deal with them randomly, you will get into trouble. These subconscious frameworks, conscious beliefs, routines, and all that, they form a kind of underlying structure that determine how we process information. Because 90%, in fact, almost 100% of what we do is based on information. Some of the information you get by virtue of, oh, I saw this before and I remember it. Most you have to get by reasoning, because you don't have a brain large enough to remember everything you need to remember. So a lot more of the information you use to take everyday decisions so that you can take actions, you can take what we refer to as informed decisions, not just random decisions, is achieved by processing. And the question then is, what is the operating system that determines your decision, the processing that produces the information that informs your decisions? That is the issue at hand.